Maeng Siwoo, a powerless hunter, struggles to support his sick sibling by selling monster information. During a dangerous raid, he's abandoned by his team leader and left for dead. Just as he's about to give up, two powerful beings clash before him, and a mysterious smartphone appoints him as the manager of GodTube, a similar system like YouTube. He can get legendary rank abilities just by subscribing to God's channels. Siwoo's life is about to change forever as he gains the abilities of the gods. Before we continue, did you know that 99% of you are not subscribed to the channel? Please help me reach 1,000 subscribers by hitting that subscribe button. Our story begins with a man saying hello to their subscribers. This is Kang Doshul, a YouTuber and B-class hunter, welcoming his viewers to his Any Raid channel. Doshul announces that today's raid monster is a C+ grade arachne, and he's going to demonstrate how to take one down. He explains that arachnes, spider-like creatures that live in groups, are quite different from earth spiders. Instead of attacking right away, they typically spit webs. But to his surprise, the arachnes charge at them directly. One arachne swings its sharp claw at them, but Doshul blocks it with his sword. Confused, he yells, asking what's happening, and orders the cameraman to stop filming. The cameraman, Maeng Siwoo, who films and edits the Any Raid channel, is stunned. He knows that arachnes usually entangle their prey with webs before injecting venom. Charging straight ahead is completely out of character. Doshul glares at Siwoo, calling him a bastard, before attacking the arachne, shouting that they would discuss this later. The arachne attempts to spit venom at Doshul, but he dodges and slices it in half. Doshul then takes down the other arachnes one by one. Afterward, Doshul angrily confronts Siwoo, reminding him that arachnes spit webs first. Siwoo remains silent, realizing that the arachnes might be desperate, leading them to change tactics. Doshul grabs Siwoo's collar, demanding answers. Siwoo apologizes, but Doshul punches him in the stomach, furious that he almost died because of Siwoo's mistake. Doshul, still angry, declares that this is why the traitless won't survive in this world. Traits are special abilities granted upon awakening, often unique to the individual. Siwoo was awakened but had a traitless ability, which was considered useless in the hunting industry. To make a living, Siwoo analyzed monsters and taught hunters how to defeat them. Doshul proudly tells the others that Siwoo's mistake almost got them killed. Suddenly, the other men call out to Doshul, pointing behind him. Doshul, confused, doesn't realize a monster is sneaking up. The monster stomps its claw on the ground, and they all flee, recognizing it as an elite mutant species. As they run, Doshul drops his sword. Fearing for his life, he decides to use Siwoo as bait. He kicks Siwoo in the face, knocking him down, and tells him to take responsibility for his poor investigation. Siwoo curses Doshul as he lies on the ground. Siwoo froze in terror as the monster's screams drew closer. Paralyzed with fear, he wondered if this was the end. Just then, he remembered his mother's voice from the hospital, urging him to protect Seoa. This memory snapped him back to reality. He couldn't die, not with his little sister depending on him. Grabbing Doshul's fallen sword, he faced the monster, determined to survive. As he launched the sword, a bright light suddenly struck the monster, knocking Siwoo back. Dazed, Siwoo saw a glowing figure standing nearby. Before he could process it, another bright light appeared. A man with sharp teeth and purple eyes confronted the glowing figure, accusing him of hiding. The two men clashed, their fists colliding in an explosion of power. Siwoo watched in disbelief as even the elite monsters trembled before these beings. The fight intensified, with the purple-eyed man gaining the upper hand and sending his opponent crashing into a wall. Demanding answers, he declared his patience had run out. The glowing man, however, stood his ground, gathering power in his palm and challenging his adversary. As their powers collided, the purple-eyed man warned his opponent wouldn't escape unscathed. Smiling, the glowing man replied that he was prepared for anything. Apologizing to Siwoo for dragging him into this, he braced for the final clash. The ensuing explosion sent shockwaves through the ground, a powerful energy enveloping Siwoo. The glowing man told Siwoo he was leaving everything to him. Siwoo shielded himself as the energy surged forward. Moments later, it dissipated, leaving Siwoo unharmed but bewildered. As he stepped back, he noticed a smartphone on the ground. Picking it up, he read the message. New manager confirmed, checking connection path. Stunned, Siwoo watched as the phone announced the completion of the manager position succession. Glancing up, he saw powerful gods appearing above him. Siwoo could hardly believe what was happening. Meanwhile, outside Arachne's cave, the men in Doshul were catching their breath. Doshul cursed angrily, questioning his luck and the odds of encountering an elite monster in a C+ dungeon. The men reassured him, praising his quick thinking for using Siwoo as bait, a move that saved them all. They expected nothing less from a B-rank hunter. Dashul, filled with pride, reminded them that their channel, We Shall Raid Everything, was named for his readiness to face any challenge. Just then, Siwoo emerged from the cave, calling Dashul a son of a bitch, which shocked everyone. Before Dashul could ask how he survived, Siwoo swung his fist at him. Dashul blocked it with his elbow and punched Siwoo in the face, reminding him of his F-rank status. Dashul admitted he didn't know how Siwoo survived, but was relieved he did, since finding a new editor would be a hassle. Siwoo, furious, questioned if Dashul truly expected him to keep working after being left to die. Dashul retorted that he had helped Siwoo out of generosity because Siwoo had begged for money for his sister's medicine. Siwoo slapped Dashul's hand away, telling him to accept the consequences of his actions. Siwoo then revealed he had footage of being left behind and teased Dashul about the views it would get if uploaded. Dashul sighed, warning that he could kill Siwoo right there. Siwoo countered that while he might die, Dashul would end up in prison, losing his hard-earned channel. Siwoo then warned Dashul that if the video went public, his sister wouldn't be safe either. Dashul, frustrated, told his men they'd find a new editor and ordered them to pack up. Siwoo warned Dashul to stay away from his sister, implying dire consequences if he didn't. Later in his room, Siwoo pondered over the mysterious GodTube, wondering if it was a channel for gods. He knew NewTube was a platform where anyone could upload videos, with hunter channels being the most popular. But GodTube featured channels like The Holy Sword I Bought from Hephaestus and Will Try on Lucifer, and World Eater Snake Jormungandr Again in Minutes, run by gods, mythical figures, and legendary heroes. Curious and confused, he speculated that these channels must have millions of subscribers. Deciding to explore, Siwoo subscribed to a channel titled The Reason Why I Left My Family to Demons, and was shocked to find it belonged to Zhuge Liang, granting him Insight as Plus, a rank thought to exist only in legends. He recalled the 13 heroes who fought against the Demon Lord, rumored to possess such traits. Although he felt no immediate change, he wondered if his observation and intelligence had subtly enhanced. He then saw Hercules' channel offering a 10,000 subscribers event, free personal training session, and how to pull out Zeus's house. He subscribes to the channel, eager to see if he would notice any differences with that one. Siwoo stared at his phone, stunned. It showed he had subscribed to Hercules' channel and gained superhuman strength. In shock, he slammed his fist on the table, shattering it. He was amazed to see he had acquired an SS rank trait. The phone then displayed that his superhuman strength proficiency had slightly increased to 0.1%. He couldn't believe he got an SS trait just by subscribing. "What is GodTube?" he shouted in disbelief. The phone showed his insight proficiency also increased to 0.1% due to his intense thinking. Siwoo wondered if he needed to reach 100% to fully master the trait. He remembered Hercules' personal training. Clicking on Hercules' video, he watched in awe as Hercules lifted a huge pillar like a twig. Amazed but intimidated, Siwoo wondered how he could follow along. He tried to unsubscribe, but couldn't. Hercules laughed, calling him Skinny Boy, and said he could enter anytime but never leave. This horrified Siwoo, who desperately tried to unsubscribe but failed. The phone confirmed that once subscribed, unsubscribing was impossible. Hercules said he'd see him tomorrow. Just then, Siwoo's other phone rang. It was Dashul, making Siwoo angry. "What do you want?" he asked curtly. Dashul, surprised Siwoo answered, asked if it was true that Siwoo had nowhere else to go. Annoyed, Siwoo asked if Dashul was calling to taunt him, but Dashul said he wanted to discuss business. Siwoo snapped, telling Dashul to take his business elsewhere. Dashul reminded him they had worked together recently. Impatient, Siwoo demanded Dashul get to the point. Dashul, annoyed, asked if Siwoo wanted to join the SH Group for streaming. Siwoo was surprised. The SH Group was Korea's top financial company, and their granddaughter had awakened with 2 S traits. He guessed they were entering the hunting industry. Dashul explained the SH Group wanted to expand and see what it was like, and asked for Siwoo's thoughts. Siwoo firmly said no. Dashul, surprised, offered to pay him 5,000 per video. Siwoo, still smiling, replied no. Dashul, frustrated, exclaimed that 500 was 10 times more than he usually paid, and insisted it was a win-win for both of them. He asked Siwoo how much he wanted, to which Siwoo confidently replied. This made Dashul snap. "Are you crazy?" he shouted. He thought, did he realize I'm getting a lot of money from the SH group? Just then, Siwoo's phone showed his insight proficiency had increased by 0.2%. Siwoo told Dachul to guess why the SH group wanted to stream with him over other S-rank hunters. Dachul, still angry, demanded to know. Siwoo explained it was clear that Chairman Han Tae-san wanted his granddaughter, who had awakened with 2 S-rank traits, to learn hunting basics from someone experienced. Siwoo's channel had 210,000 subscribers due to his unique strategies, which is why the chairman approached him. Dachul reluctantly agreed, but still thought 5,000 was too much. Siwoo asked if Dachul didn't want to proceed, further irritating him. Siwoo then put his phone on speaker and told Dachul to find someone else if he couldn't get the funds. The next day inside a B-class dungeon, Siwoo asked Dachul about wiring the rest of the money. Dachul reminded him he'd send it after the raid. Siwoo then inquired when Han Charon would join them. As they heard someone approaching, a lady introduced herself as Han Charon, ready to start the raid. Siwoo was surprised by her beauty, but focused on the task and his payment. Soon they encountered their first monster, a black troll. Charon identified it immediately. Dachul confirmed and explained its near-immortal regenerative abilities. Before he could finish, Charon grabbed his sword, charged, and swiftly killed the troll, impressing everyone. Dachul praised her, calling her an S-class hunter, to which she modestly replied. Siwoo noticed her sword and asked about its cost, learning it was around 20 billion, shocking him and Dachul. She suggested moving deeper into the dungeon to find more monsters. An hour later, deeper in the dungeon, Charon felt confident there were no more trolls and suggested wrapping up. Suddenly, the cave shook. Charon asked what was happening, and Dachul guessed it might be an elite monster, though he feared it was a boss monster. A huge creature appeared, attacking them. Charon blocked its attack, and Dachul shouted for everyone to run. The boss monster targeted them, hitting each man as they fled. Dachul, thinking of survival, was cornered by the monster but was saved by Charon. She bravely fought the monster but struggled against its strength. As the monster launched another attack, Charon managed to dodge, leapt onto its arm, and slashed at its head, but it barely hurt the creature. Angered, the monster hit her, sending her crashing down. She blocked its next attack with her sword, struggling to hold back its immense power. Siwoo stood off to the side, paralyzed with shock and fear. He realized there was no way they could defeat this monster, even with Han Charon. She was still a beginner, inexperienced in real combat. His only options were to leave Charon behind and run away or face certain death. Just then, Dachul sprinted past him, fleeing in panic without a second thought for anyone else. This triggered a memory for Siwoo of being abandoned by Dachul during an elite monster attack, left to die because of a petty investigation. Siwoo saw Charon struggling to protect herself. The reality that they couldn't win pressed on him, urging him to flee or die a dog's death. But instead, he called the boss monster's attention, deciding that money and prestige were worthless if he died. Leaving Charon behind would make him no different from the traitorous Dachul. Siwoo intercepted the boss monster's fist mid-air and successfully deflected it. Charon, amazed, looked at him in shock, wondering who he really was. Drawing on the strength of Hercules from GodTube, Siwoo steadied himself and checked his SS superhuman power. The boss monster pulled its fist from the ceiling and swung again, but Siwoo blocked it with his body, holding firm. As the monster pushed harder, Siwoo continued to hold, shouting for Charon to attack. She hesitated but then sprang at the boss monster. It saw her coming but couldn't stop her from stabbing its heart. She then leaped away, rolled in the air, landed on its shoulder, and sliced its head off in one swift motion. As the boss monster fell, Siwoo wondered if it was truly over. Using his insight, he sensed something was wrong. He remembered that boss species often underwent double transformations, and a physical change was likely. The monster's head regenerated, and Siwoo yelled for Charon to dodge, but it was too late. The monster grabbed her, making her scream in pain. Siwoo knew everything would be lost if Charon died, so he had to act. He grabbed one of the monster's fingers, holding Charon. She begged him to run, but he shouted back, telling her to aim for its heart again. With all her might, she squeezed out of the monster's grip. Understanding Siwoo's plan, she ran at the monster. The boss monster tried to attack, but Siwoo held its hand back, smiling at its struggle. Charon sprinted up its arm, dragging her sword along the way, causing it to scream in pain. She then seriously focused and stabbed its heart again. Siwoo knew he had only a split second left and shouted that the ogre had 2 hearts, shocking her. Trusting her sixth sense, she located the second heart and launched herself at it, stabbing the other chest where the second heart lay. Siwoo leaped at the monster, shouting for it to die as his abilities temporarily increased. He landed a powerful blow on its head, causing it to explode. Charon shielded herself from the aftermath, unable to believe their victory. She called out to Siwoo as he approached, covered in blood, but he collapsed to the ground, leaving her to wonder who he really was. When Siwoo woke up, he was in a hospital room. As he looked around, someone entered, and to his surprise, it was Charon. Shyly, he asked why she was there. She explained that she had brought him to the hospital because he was severely injured, with torn muscles and broken ribs. Then, leaning closer, she asked how he was feeling. Siwoo was too stunned to answer as she got even closer, touching his head to check his temperature, which made him blush and feel confused. She noted that he seemed to have a fever and realized they hadn't introduced themselves. She asked for his name, and he replied, Maeng Siwoo, wondering why she didn't already know it. She explained she wanted to hear it from him, which only confused him more. Remembering her S-class sixth sense, he thought maybe she could read his mind. Charon mentioned that he must be out of it since he had just woken up, but she had a proposal for him. Siwoo asked what it was. She then offered him a spot on her team, shocking him. She sweetened the deal by suggesting an annual salary of 1 billion won and equal shares of monster loot. Siwoo was stunned by the offer. Charon then brought up that his little sister was suffering from a blood disease and was in their SH hospital. If he agreed, his sister would receive free care. Siwoo took a moment to think and then asked why he deserved such a generous offer. Charon explained that she needed his strategic mind for hunting monsters. Alone in his hospital room later, Siwoo wondered if he should have refused. Charon had told him to take his time to decide and that she still owed him her life, promising to cover his sister's medical bills. Siwoo thought about GodTube, a source of his insights and strength. He knew it was a channel of gods who could easily turn S-class hunters into mere extras. He didn't want to limit his possibilities by accepting the offer immediately. His main goal was to find a cure for his sister Seo Ah's incurable disease, caused by a dungeon break long ago. Modern medicine could only treat the symptoms, but Siwoo believed GodTube could help him heal her completely. However, the treatments were expensive, and he needed a lot of money. Siwoo decided to focus on editing a video worth 50 million won. He opened his laptop and saw footage of Charon fighting an ogre. He heard her mention her sword was worth 20 billion won, which made him think about making and selling equipment. However, he had only one subscription ticket left and needed a membership costing 1 million won for more. He thought metallurgy could help and subscribed to Heist channel, acquiring the SS class Metallurgy of God. He watched a video of Hephaestus in his workshop, who emphasized the importance of not fearing failure when enhancing weapons. This improved Siwoo's metallurgy proficiency slightly. Days later at the hospital playground, Siwoo was exercising with one hand on a bar. He overheard nurses commenting on his rapid recovery, which surprised him. The system then showed that his proficiency in super strength had increased to 1.01%. Siwoo knew that using his super strength too often would damage his muscles like before, so he stayed dedicated to his training. Suddenly, he heard someone call him brother. He turned around and saw it was Seo Ah. She mentioned she heard he was getting discharged tomorrow, and he confirmed it. Seo Ah expressed her relief, remembering how worried she was when he first arrived at the hospital in such a serious condition. She was surprised he was leaving in just a week, even though he was supposed to stay for at least a month. Siwoo sighed, thinking Seo Ah might be disappointed he was leaving early. He reassured her to keep up with her treatments and not worry about money for now. Seo Ah nodded, saying she was getting free treatment thanks to Charon's kindness, which shocked Siwoo. Curious, Siwoo asked why she called Sharon sister. Seo-ah explained that Sharon told her to because she had no younger siblings and thought of Seo-ah as one. Siwoo was stunned and asked if it was Han Sharin and when this happened. Seo-ah confirmed it, saying Sharon sometimes visited, though Siwoo had never seen her. Seo-ah explained that Sharon came while he was working out and always asked about his well-being before leaving. Siwoo couldn't believe someone as busy as Sharon with her SH Hunter duties found time to visit. Seo-ah teased that maybe Sharon liked him, but Siwoo dismissed it. Seo-ah pointed out that he was very popular and that the nurses always talked about him. Siwoo told her to stop saying silly things and go inside because he had somewhere to go. When she asked where, he replied, "To where I can earn money." Later, Siwoo arrived at the forest, feeling nervous as it was his first time hunting a monster alone. He tried to calm himself, but then he heard something approaching from behind. It was a group of F-class goblins. They grabbed rocks and threw them at him, but he dodged, still panicking. Despite knowing goblins acted in groups, there were too many for him. The goblins charged at him with their weapons. One tried to hit him, but he dodged and punched it, shattering its body into pieces. Blood splattered on his face, and he realized he might be stronger than he thought. The other goblins, seeing him kill one of their own, hesitated. Siwoo stepped closer, stretched his neck with a clicking sound, and with a smile told them to bring it on. The next morning at the weapon shop, Siwoo laid the goblin bodies on the ground, asking how much they were worth. The man reminded him that he needed proper ingredients, not scraps. Seo Palguang, the owner of Seo Family Smithy, sighed and decided to teach Siwoo how to smelt. Lifting his hammer, Palguang explained that hammering wasn't just about force. With 20 years of experience, he was now a skilled blacksmith in his 40s, specializing in dexterity. Palguang told Siwoo that quality materials alone couldn't guarantee top-tier equipment, which amazed Siwoo. Handing the hammer to Siwoo, Palguang said it was his turn to try. Siwoo respectfully agreed. Palguang watched closely, remembering that Siwoo hadn't asked to become an apprentice or join his guild, but instead he wanted to rent the workshop. Initially annoyed by Siwoo's grip on the hammer, Palguang thought people underestimated the skill, thinking it was as easy as in games. But when Siwoo started hammering, Palguang was surprised. Just then, Kim Soon, the company's representative, entered the workshop. Palguang, holding a sword, acknowledged her arrival. She joked about the lack of other visitors to the sweaty workshop. Palguang suggested she could have sent someone else, but she insisted on handling business with Korea's best blacksmith personally. Palguang noted her dedication, impressed by her flattery. She reminded him she was from Soon Company, dealing only with the best items. She handed over a bag with requested ingredients. Before discussing the price, Palguang pointed to a cloth-wrapped item, cautioning her about its sharp blade. Annoyed by the continuous hammering, Soon asked Siwoo to keep it down. He agreed with a simple, "Sure?" She glanced at the swords, puzzled by what Siwoo was making. Examining one, she skeptically asked if they really called it a weapon. Palguang asked for her opinion, and she bluntly replied that the blade was dull and the shape crude, wondering how anyone could use it. Palguang then revealed that the swords were made from goblin and kobold skeletons. Surprised, she asked him to repeat. Palguang explained that the materials were in poor condition and that the creator was a novice who had only held a hammer for the first time that day. She asked if Palguang had taken on an apprentice, and he mentioned that he had suggested it. He recalled how astonishing it was to see Siwoo hammering perfectly without any mistakes on his first try. Palguang then told her he had never seen anyone use such materials to make weapons, and Siwoo's refusal to become his disciple shocked her even more. She watched Siwoo intensely focusing on his work. Soon, Siwoo completed a dagger, and his god's metallurgy proficiency increased by 0.7% plus an additional 0.4%. Astonished by his progress, Siwoo exclaimed that he had successfully made a weapon, but wondered how to sell it. Soon appeared behind him, asking if he intended to sell the dagger. Introducing herself as a representative of Soon Company, she mentioned that they were well known in the hunter industry for their trust and credibility. She offered to buy the dagger, stating they only dealt with the best products in Korea. Siwoo asked about the price, and she offered 1 million won per piece. After the deal, Siwoo started making weapons like crazy, and Soon sold them to the top tiers of the hunter industry. Days later, Soon screamed in joy in the workshop, announcing that Soon Company had signed a contract with the SH Group. Siwoo proudly asked if he had done well, and she told him he had done more than well. Meeting the quantity and delivery date with perfect quality equipment was crucial. She thanked him, promising to fulfill any of his wishes. She then asked him to check his account balance. When he saw 284,000 won, he sighed, expecting more. Soon told him to check again, and he realized it was actually 284 million won. He screamed in excitement, realizing he had 284 million won at the age of 23. This was the moment he became enamored with money. Later, he sat staring at his bank account, still in disbelief at his fortune, knowing he could now afford a GodTube membership to treat his little sister, Seo-ah. As he pondered his options, he saw 3 channels: Huotuo, the legendary divine physician; Hippocrates, the father of medicine; and Heo-jun, the founder of Oriental medicine principles. Each channel cost 300 million won per month, and he could only afford one. After a moment of indecision, he finally subscribed to one. Shortly after, Ailing mentioned that polishing highly brittle materials was challenging and should be minimized. This confused him, but Ailing explained that while precise processing was possible, it required extreme accuracy. Suddenly, Soon excitedly entered the workshop. Ailing questioned her frequent visits, and she replied that it was because of her master, Siwoo. Siwoo then called her, surprising her with a reminder that she had promised to get him some items. He handed her a list which included mountain incense, illuminating laser-wort saxifrage, 100-year-old ginseng, 100-year-old fleece flower, and soapberry pill. When he asked if it was possible to get them, she said yes, but it would be expensive, costing about 300 million won, though she offered a 20 million won discount. This shocked him. He needed those ingredients to improve his skills in Huotuo's Divine Medical Arts S+, which he had subscribed to. Without Soon, he wouldn't know where to find these rare herbs. She asked if she should buy them, and he nodded, tears in his eyes. He realized he had 284 million won from Se, but had given her 280 million won, leaving him with only 4 million won, which would be depleted by his 100 million won subscription fee at the end of the month. He urgently needed to earn more money and wondered how to make hundreds of millions of won quickly. Then he had an idea and remembered something important. Days later at the train station, a man scrolled through YouTube, frustrated by the lack of interesting content. Then he saw Siwoo's video titled "World-Conquering Man Will Show Them Hippopotamus Strategy." Curious, he clicked on it and saw hippos peacefully gathering in a lake. Siwoo, dressed in a hippo suit, screamed like a hippo and surprised the man by explaining that hippos aren't horses, despite the character for horse being used in their name. Siwoo clarified that hippos are part of the cow family, specifically artiodactyls, but stopped to avoid overwhelming his viewers. Next, Siwoo grabbed a red cloth and demonstrated how to conquer a hippo. He explained that while red cloth excites hippos, it's a myth that it agitates cows. He swung the cloth in front of the hippos, who soon charged towards him. Smiling, Siwoo explained that the second step was to hit and catch them, shocking the viewer. As the hippos charged, Siwoo ran towards them, attacking and defeating them. The viewer was stunned and continued watching as Soon joined in. Amazed by the strategy, the man watched until the end, where Siwoo encouraged viewers to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell if they found the strategy helpful. People left wild comments on his video, calling him crazy and hilarious, and joking about their hippos fainting. His video views shot up to 3,628 and kept climbing, and his channel subscribers jumped to 243 and continued to grow. Seeing the numbers made him smile, knowing his plan was working. Then in just a minute, his Hippo Monsters video views exploded to 127,500. Reading the laughing comments, he realized viewers loved the concept. He thought the positive reaction was partly thanks to the algorithm, but he knew he couldn't stick to low-level monsters forever. He decided to act fast and keep the excitement high, something he excelled at. Analyzing monsters and making strategies was his thing, and reaching 1 million subscribers wasn't just a dream. But then he hit a snag. He noticed his nose bleeding and felt dizzy. He tried to push through, thinking he had to edit the video and prepare for a dungeon raid, but he lost his balance, hitting his head on the computer table and chair. He collapsed on the floor, realizing he had pushed himself too hard. That's all for today. Thank you all for your support and love. I'll start working on the next part if this video gets 50 likes. Till then, bye.